Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and today I'm very excited to be bringing to you my draft analysis / overview for PPL Division 2 Season 4. Yes indeed, my personal 5th season in the PPL is kicking off very soon. The draft has happened. You may have been there last Sunday. We had the draft, stream, where all the picks were sort of streamed out, and you might have seen me tweeting them as well over the course of that day. But yes, the draft is done, the teams are ready, the games are going to be happening very soon. But before we get into all that, a few points of admin that I want to go over. First off, and there are going to be 2 points, both of which will have links in the description. The first one, the PPL Discord fan server thing. That's a thing that exists on Discord. If you're on Discord, there'll be a link in the description. Follow it and you'll get there. If you're not on Discord, sign up to Discord and follow that link and you'll get there. Basically, big old server on Discord. All the managers from D1 and D2 are there. Loads of other people who are sort of following the PPL or are friends or whatever. They're all there. You can go over there, become a fan of one of the teams if you so desire. Chat with all the other people. There are various different sort of chat things going on there. And you can smack talk people if you so desire. That's what I do most of the time. So yeah, head over to the Discord PPL fan server and yeah, give it a go. It's pretty fun. Second thing, another link in the description will be to the merchandising. Yes, the Teespring campaign. We have t-shirts and hoodies and phone cases and mugs and laptop cases. I think I might have made that one up, don't quote me on it, but lots and lots of merch like this classy little number right here that I'm wearing, as you can see. Yes, merchandise for all the teams in the PPL. I think maybe some previous ones are there as well. But yeah, head over there if you want to buy some merch. It's nice, good quality stuff. We like it, so yeah, job's good. Right, with that out of the way, let's get into the draft. Yes, the draft indeed. I was 8th in the draft. I'll very briefly go over sort of the teams in D2 in draft order. So, in at number 1 we have Carson, Toxic Gaming and the Chicago Bewears. At 2 we have Eric, Ashton, Akai and AS Rowlet. In at 3 we've got Kyle, K to the 2 and the Harlem Gloomtrotters. At 4, RhyQuinn, the RhyQuinn with Nidoqueens Park Rangers. In at 5 is Potato Jim and the Pinecobh Ramblers. Then at 6 is AmazingChi with Newcrustle United. 7th was Ritchie 15,000, Babeleye, Ritchie, our friend, and LivWurmple FC. Myself, Shroomraver with Parasect Germain in at number 8. Then Ellie, 8-Bit Insomniac at 9 with Accrington Stantler. 10 was Birmingham Spritzee, that is of course the team of Alex, OnesieBanette. At 11 we've got the Unlawful Exile, Liam and West Chan United. And then in at 12, the final slot on the draft is RTK and the Portland Timbers. So we had 8th pick, and going into this, most of the time when it comes to drafts, I don't have a particular plan per se. I've got ideas of where I want to go, and I just kind of do it, almost on a pick by pick basis. Something comes up, I'll grab it, and then I'll see how I can build around, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? How I can complement that as the picks go. But I did have a couple of ideas that I wanted first up. And the fact that the Pokemon, the 2 first choices I had were both older Pokemon from older generations, I thought I had a good chance of getting at least one of them because, you know, people are going to be looking at the new ones and seeing what works now. So what I really wanted was Victini, and I was at work and I got a message through from Kyle saying, dude, I'm so sorry, I didn't know you wanted it. And I was like, shit, he's got Victini. But I was like, it's okay, I can get my second choice. My second choice is Mew. I can go home and I can just grab that. So I got home, looked at the spreadsheet, and before number 3, Carl had picked Victini, Eric had picked Mew. So I was like, bugger. This is so very less than ideal. So I was slumped twice in the first round, and I was like, just flashbacks, shades of Season 3 were just flying at me. I was like, this is not happening again, this cannot happen, where I slumped 3 times in the first damn round. So it comes to me and I'm like, you know what, bugger it all, let me grab a Pokemon that is so perfect for me to use. So first round, I decided to take Necrozma. Yes, Necrozma is just my kind of mon. Stupid bulk, Really good offenses. It can set up on every end of the spectrum. Physical offense, special defense, physical defense, speed. It has every kind of setup you could possibly hope for. It's got hazards, it's got recovery, it's got a humongous move pool. And I was really happy with it. It's just one of these mons that, I mean, the GBA, they quick banned it, I think, or at least they might have voted on it, but it's banned in GBA. So, you know, it's good. I disagree with the ban personally, but I'm not going to get into league politics. I'm not about that life. Whatever, people ban, it's fine. We didn't, I grabbed it, really happy with it. So Necrozma comes in first. I'm very excited to give it some use. I've seen it do wonderful things so far. Hopefully, because we're going to be spending this season in Division 2, and it's one season too long to be in Division 2. Hopefully, Necrozma can sort of get us out of there and help us get back into Division 1. So, with Necrozma down, it's going to slant back to me, and I was sort of chatting with people, prevalent among them being Travesty, my man Travesty, about what to grab next, and he made a suggestion, something I've wanted to use for a while, something I've never got round to using, and it does kind of match up really quite well. So it comes back to me, and for my second pick, earlier than you might expect it to go, but it's still potent, my second pick is Terrakion. Never had the chance to use Terrakion in League. Very, very powerful. Base 129 attack. It's got that really nice 108 speed as well. It's bulky enough. 91, 90, 90 on those defenses is superly good. That's not a word. It's super good. And that was for 15 mil. Necrozma cost me 17. Terrakion cost me 15. Now, Necrozma, of course, has that Prism Armor, which lowers the power of super effective moves, but even so, Dark is something that people are going to want to spam. Knockoff is a very spammable move. Now, Terrakion really backs up Necrozma very nicely with that because it puts off the Dark type attack with that justified ability that it gets. It's got stupid powerful stab moves, fighting and rock with close combat with Stone Edge, God forbid, and a nice set of coverage moves as well. Decent setup, it's another potential hazard setter, and weirdly enough it gets Reflect. So it's halfway to being a good tree, as our good friend Dan aka Sigi would say. It doesn't get Woodhammer, unfortunately, I don't think, but it does get Reflect, so there's that. So yeah, Terrakion, excited to use it, going to be a big threat. So, that's my round 2 pick. Moving on, it zooms all the way back and around, it comes to me, and I knew there was a Pokemon. As soon as I got Necrozma, the plan came in motion for what I knew I wanted round 3. And again, I might have picked this a little earlier than people would expect, but a little mid-draft rant. I do not subscribe to this idea that something is a round X pick. Like, if you really want a Pokemon, you get it whenever you want. Like RhyQuinn drafted Licky round 5. It's a great mon, and people are like, that's too early. No, it's not. If it's right for your team, you get it when you can. Because you never know when someone's going to grab it. So, round 3, I took a mon that might have expected to go around 4 or 5, but I took a round 3, and that's going to be Mandibuzz. Because I like Mandibuzz plus Necrozma, because that sounds gross. And that is my kind of deal. I love gross drafts. Mandibuzz, as we all know, stupidly good bulk on that Pokemon. It tanks hits in a very big way. It is my first hazard remover, I believe, which is very nice. It's of course got that reliable recovery. It's another knockoff user, or rather it's my first of a few knockoff users I'm going to get. It's got that U-turn going as well, so I'm starting to build a little bit of an initiative gaining thing going there with the U-turn. It's got set up of its own if, God forbid, I want to go that route, and it can phase stuff out. It's nice to have phasing. Setup is a big thing, and I think it's going to be big this season as well. So yeah, I'm happy to get Mandibuzz, linking up nicely with Necrozma. That's going to be super fun, and not to deal with, I mean. It's going to be super fun to use, and people are hopefully going to cry. So yeah, that's Mandibuzz. Now, as the draft kind of snakes back to me, there was a Pokemon I noticed had not gone, and the thing is, you're going to see a lot of weird picks late on, where people are going to get really good stuff late on, but it comes with the territory, you know. We've got 7 generations worth of Pokemon to pick from now. There's stuff that's going to go under the radar. It's going to fly low under the radar, and you're going to come back to it and think, holy crap, that hasn't gone yet? And this is what's going to happen right about now. Because I noticed that Garchomp was not there, was not taken yet, and I was like, ooh, hello. That is very tasty indeed. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to get Garchomp. I'm going to get one of the best Pokemon in draft format. It's another massive threat. It's going to be super fun to use. It's an electric immunity that everyone wants. And then 2 picks before it got back to me, Alex took it. And I was like, well then, that is less than ideal. But I was like, you know, I've spent a lot of money, 17, 15, 12, let's do some quick maths, so 44. I've got, you know, 66 left to go with. I can still splash the cash a little bit. So I decided, much with Terrakion, to go the route of something very powerful that I have not used in Draft League before, and it is known as the Core Breaker. Round 4, I decided to take Mamoswine. So yes, I've gone Stupid Bulk, Stupid Attack, Stupid Bulk, Stupid Attack. Mamoswine is the Core Breaker. People love to go on about these cores, these Fire, Water, Grass, these Fairy, Dragon, Steel. Mamoswine, as we all know, it breaks those cores. It is the consummate Core Breaker. It's crazy powerful at base 130, which I think ends up being my most powerful selection in terms of attack. So yeah, Mamoswine, very nice priority, some very powerful priority, excellent dual stab, a good selection of coverage moves as well. It's another potential hazard setter in the form of Stealth Rocks. What have I got here? Another knockoff user, and once again, decent bulk. Like, especially with the addition of that ability, the Thick Fat. You know, it relies heavily on a very high base HP stat, but it gives it enough bulk to take a hit or two. So yeah, and it's scary. When people see Mamoswine on an opposing team, it just scares them. And in combination with Terrakion, that's going to be really nice indeed. So, I've gone on for far too long on the first 4 picks. I'm going to try and speed things up a little bit. Now, things I really wanted on my team. More hazard removal, bulky water, and electric type. So, I was thinking about possibly trying to take Mega Blastoise as one of my last big boy price-wise picks. That went 3 picks later than I picked Mamoswine, but I was okay with that. Mega Blastoise was never a priority. What I wanted to prioritise was mid-range price electric, was what I really wanted. And I was gunning for Jolteon. That's the one I was really gunning for. And I'm looking down at the screen, as you're going to know what's happened here. It got back to Carson and he took Jolteon, and I was like, fudge sauce. Okay, let's rethink. I have a Mamoswine who is base 80 speed. I could use the webs. Let's get Galvantula. And then 3 picks before it got back to me again, Jim took Galvantula. And I was like, this cannot be happening again. I cannot have been sniped for the 6th time. This cannot be happening. So at this point it gets back to me and I'm like, I was panicking a little bit. I want the electric type. And I went, do you know what? Screw it. Screw the money. Let's just get something good. And not only good, let's get something back. Let's get something we've used before to very good effect. Let's bring in my 5th round pick and the captain of Parasect Germain for Division 2, Season 4, Zapdos. Yeah, we got Zapdos back. Super happy about it. Loved using Zapdos in Season 1 way back when. And I've loved using it, not in draft format, but since then. Zapdos is just a great mon. It is another... It can be bulky. Its stats don't even give away too much that it is very bulky. Like, its bulk isn't actually as good as Terrakion, for example. 90, 85, 90. But it's just the fact that they're so uniform. It's brilliant. It's got a very nice typing, electric flying, of course. It's pretty speedy. And it's powerful. People tend to... Zapdos gets sort of shoehorned into that Mew role, not to the same extent of being defensive all the time, but I like using it offensively. And people looked at the fact that I'd taken Mandibuzz 2 rounds previously and like, oh, you got 2 bulky birds. Well, no, I've got 1 bulky bird and 1 offensive bird, which is what I want to use Zapdos for a little bit more. But if I want to use it defensively, as with all the birds, reliable recovery and defog is always nice. But Zapdos has decent attack going on there as well at base 90, so it can run a mixed set. It's the second part of that initiative core, you know, the Volt turn going on, and it can run either. It's another Pokemon that can set up. Very crucially, this guy has Baton Pass as well. But I'm really happy to get Zapdos in for its offensive capabilities. I love using it offensively, and that's something that I really want to zone in on this season. So at this point I had spent, I could try and add it up, but it's a lot of numbers, and I don't do well with numbers, so 60, 70, 76, I'd spent 76, which means I only have 34 left, so I couldn't go big on too many more things, but there were things I needed. So draft snakes back to me, I don't get sniped, and spoiler alert, I didn't get sniped for the rest of the draft, so that's super nice. But it came back to me and I'm like, okay, I've got all these things, but I haven't gone with too many sort of archetypes of draft format. One of the big ones, everyone wants the bulky water. I wanted bulky water, but I also didn't have any kind of healing, team healing. I needed Wish, I needed a cleric. So the Pokemon I got round 6, if you know me and my draft format views, you'll know this might be a little bit of a controversial pick for me personally. I took Vaporeon. Vaporeon round 6, and the reason that's a bit of a controversial pick as far as I'm concerned is that previously and quite publicly I have stated that I don't rate Vaporeon in draft format. I think for a Pokemon with such a pathetically shallow move pool, it has terrible 4 move slot syndrome. But at this point it was kind of just what I needed. I needed something that's going to go specially defensive a lot of the time with very good special bulk and crazy HP. I needed the Wish, I needed the Heal Bell, and I needed the Water type. It also gives me a Water immunity, which looking at the team I had at that time is pretty nice. You know, I've got some offensive threats that don't like water, so it's nice to have that immunity going on there as well. Vaporeon, kind of, it be what it do, you know, it scalds things, it toxics things, it heals the team, it keeps that lot healthy, it has phasing, which is always nice to have, and it's another baton passer, that's always cool. Yeah, it's a Vaporeon, there's not too much that needs explaining about it. I was quite happy with it, I think it's going to fit quite well, and as I say, I've come to like Wish Pass, and Vaporeon has a big wish to pass something, so that's super nice. So yes, Vaporeon comes in at round 6, and it zooms back to me to round 7, and I was looking at what I had, I'm like, okay, it would be quite nice to get something very quick and specially offensive. Speed was kind of letting me down. My draft is not the speediest draft in the world. So I was like, I need something that's just blisteringly quick, and ideally, specially offensive. And I wanted fire, I wanted a fire type, but again I realised I couldn't go massively expensive. I was fast running out of money. So I decided to take a bit of a risk, and for my round 7 pick, I went with Salazzle. Not a Pokemon I've used a lot, at all. One of those new Pokemon, of course, Gen 7. I wanted the blistering speed, base 117 is quick, and base 111 attack with a special attack, with the potential of Nasty Plot, that's nice too. It gets U-turn, which I'm not going to be using much, I can't imagine, but it gets it. Yeah, that Nasty Plot setup could be very nice. As I say, the speed is there. Its move pool is not fantastic once again. Outside of stab, you're basically looking at hidden power and unstabbed dragon coverage, which ain't no bad thing, but it's sort of kind of one-dimensional, but I'm hoping that it's going to be good at what it does. It has that very nice niche in being able to land toxics on anything, including poison and steel, which could be nice if I come up against something particularly nasty like a Toxapex, like a Steelix, like a Registeel. I don't know if Steelix was drafted, I don't think it was, but you know what I mean. So yeah, Salazzle coming in round 7. Now, at this point, I had 4 picks potentially left to go, and I'd spent 100 mil, so I had 10 mil left to spend on 4 potential picks. Now, spoiler alert, I drafted in 3 things. This is the first season ever of the PPL that I have not filled out my roster. I've got 10 out of the 11. So, what did I get in round 8? Well, it's a Pokemon that I've wanted to use once again for so long. This is possibly the Pokemon I am most excited to use this season. And it's raised eyebrows in the draft for good reasons. Because my 8th round pick is Zangoose. The goose is loose, ladies and gents. I am so hyped to use Zangoose. It is such a cool mon, both in its combative ability and its design and just everything. It just looks cool, it looks threatening base 115 attack with toxic boost and stab priority. Are you kidding me? That is fantastic. It gets all the coverage it needs in a very small amount of moves, but it also, on the special side, not that I'll ever be using that, nudge nudge wink wink, it gets all the coverage that you'd expect from a normal type Pokemon. And it has that physical coverage as well, it just doesn't use it all that often because it's better off just running a few moves, but it can branch out. Zangoose is going to be huge for me, I'm predicting this season, and as people have sort of said, I like bringing up these low tier or sort of not highly rated mons. I drafted Tyrantrum when it was 8 million when MVP. Cypher came in and did a massive job for me as well. Back in Season 1 it was the defensive stuff that was low ranked. Stuff like Blaziken even. You know, I was using these mons and I was using them well and they were low rated and people didn't think they were going to do as well as they did. Zangoose for me this season could be that mon. It could be. And I'm really hyped to give it a go. Really nice setup, very nice ability. It's a status sponge, which is pretty nice too. Once it's got that Toxic Orb going, if that's the item I want to run. So, hyped to use Zangoose, really want it to do well. So, with that, I had 6 million left to spend. And you may have noticed that this team is missing something. I mentioned cores that people like to go on about, and this draft does not have one of the favourite cores of people. One of the favourite cores people like to use is Fairy Dragon Steel. I have no Fairy type, I have no Dragon type, and I have no Steel type. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to do is to draft what I think could be the cheapest Fairy Dragon Steel core in Pokemon Draft League history. In only 2 mons. We are making history today, ladies and gentlemen. Round 9 I chose Mawile. Really excited about this. I think it's going to do well. Its stats don't look fantastic, but realistically it's going to be used for one of 2 things, and those one of 2 things are going to be using its 2 good stats, attack and defense. It can run a very effective Intimidate defensive set. You can also help to buff EVs into that Spadef, running Intimidate to help out with the Fizz Def, and see where we go from there. The other one is its attack at 85 with Sheer Force. That's boosted to sort of near Nidoking levels, and it gets a huge move pool physically that is boosted by Sheer Force. So Mawile has some interesting niches. It's another baton passer. I've got so many of them, which is just nice for gaining initiative. My initiative gaining is pretty good. I've got a nice Volt Turn core and a lot of baton pass, which is super nice. Mawile is my 4th Stealth Rock user. I've got 2 Defoggers and no Rapid Spinners. I only have Rocks as my hazards. I don't have Spikes, I don't have T-Spikes. I'd like them, but realistically, you don't want to hazard stack if you don't have a Rapid Spinner. You want a hazard stack with the option of Rapid Spin or Defog, but I only have Defog, so I've prioritised Rocks as the main form of hazard. And Mawile is my 4th user of that. It gets nice setup once again. And yeah, it's just going to be fun, I think. It's going to be unpredictable, I hope, as well. So there's Mawile. Now, I have 2 million left to spend on my final pick. It's a dragon. And given that it's only allowed to cost me 2 million, you know full well it's not a fully evolved dragon. Now I had several to choose from here. Shelgon was an option. Pretty good option. Very, very bulky. But I didn't feel like I needed too much more bulk. I have decent amounts of bulk, not as much as I would like. But I had a Wish Parcel already and I didn't want to use Shelgon. Could use Fracture. Fracture's nice, but Fracture is a physical attacker in and of itself. I didn't need another physical attacker. I got 3 Premier physical attackers. Premier? That's a weird way of saying Premier. So I looked into 1 or 2 others. Vibrava, don't want a massive quad ice weakness, because apparently every team is ice weak this season. Shout out to Paul. So what do I go with? Well, I decided to go with the OG Middle Dragon Evolution. Chris, if you're watching this, I couldn't take Dragonite, but I took the best thing. My last pick, our 10th pick for Parasect Germain this season in the PPL, is Dragonair, which is an interesting one. Dragonair can get up to some pretty usable bulk with a Violite. 61, 65, 70 ain't half bad. 70 is a useful speed tier for my team and for a middle evolution Pokemon. And given that it gets agility and Dragon Dance, that ain't bad either. It's got the Dragon's move pool, not as much as Dragonite because it doesn't have arms, so it can't use punching moves because it doesn't have arms. But it's got enough of a move pool, and its special move pool is pretty good as well. What I kind of want to use this for is probably going to be more of a defensive annoyer. You know, it's got both screens, it's got Eviolite, it doesn't have reliable recovery, but it's got the best semi-reliable recovery going in Rest Shedskin. And it's also got Marvel Scale as an ability as well. It can run pretty useful phasing sets with a Coil, Dragon Tail, stuff like that. I think it gets Coil, I hope it gets Coil, that'd be cool. But it can go offensive as well with those setup moves that I just mentioned. So yeah, there's a £6 million Fairy Dragon Steel Core for the ages, Mawile Dragonair. But yeah, that is the team this season that is hopefully going to get us back up into Division 1 where we belong. So yes, Necrozma, Terrakion, Mandibuzz, Mamoswine, Zapdos, Vaporeon, Salazzle, Zangoose, Mawile, Dragonair. Now, the final thing to talk about are the Z-move users. We could select 3. One of them can use any Z-move, and the other 2 can only use offensive Z-moves, but they can all use any of the crystals. So I had a long hard think about this, long and hard. Oh God, what am I doing with my life? So yes, Z-move users. I decided to opt for my super Z-move user. That's going to be Necrozma, and my other 2 are Terrakion and Zapdos. Now I think that's probably the best selection, because narrowing down the others, I basically went on it by process of elimination. Dragonair is not going to be a Z-move user. It's got a good move pool, but it doesn't quite have the right move pool, and it wants to be using Eviolite most of the time. Mawile, if it's going to be a Z-move user with an offensive move, it might as well be running Sheer Force Life Orb. Anyway, Zangoose has other items it prefers. It has one other item it prefers. Salazzle doesn't have the move pool for it. Mamoswine benefits much more by having a regular item, and Mandibuzz isn't a Z-move user, it just isn't. So I basically just went process of elimination. Zapdos has enough of a move pool for it. Terrakion really benefits from just having stupidly high powered moves that don't have any drawbacks, like the inaccuracy of Stone Edge or the drops of Close Combat. And Necrozma is just an enigma. It's got so many weird, wonderful status moves that it's going to be difficult to predict around what it's going to be doing, and it's got the offenses to really run an offensive set as well if I so choose. So that is the whole breakdown of the team. Tell me what you think of it. What do you think is going to do well this season? What do you think is going to do badly? Do you think it was the right choices? What do you think of the Z-move users? Tell me everything you think about this team. But yeah, that's pretty much it. First upload is coming up very soon indeed. Wednesday, April the 5th. Is the first upload for Division 2, battle-wise. That is going to be a grudge match early on, because that's against Liam, Unlawful Exile. Last season, he beat us due to shenanigans, Ironhead Flinch, and the season before that, I beat him due to a speed tie. So, we have a history, he and I. Hopefully, this will be the match that comes down to proving exactly who is superior. Spoiler alert, it's me. But yeah, that's going to be fun, so look out for that. Also, be sure to keep an eye out on the PPL channel, because we're hopefully going to have consistent uploads there. We've got a fantastic team of analysts who are going to be watching our every move and letting you know in detail what went down in those games and getting the power rankings, all that good stuff. So yeah, keep an eye out on those channels. They'll be in the description as well. But yeah, along with the merchandise stuff and the Discord, so follow them as well. It's gonna be fun. But yes, I've rambled on far too long, so I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed. Keep supporting Parasect Germain, guys. Now more than ever, we are going for the top. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me. I'm gonna wrap up. So my final thank you to you all for watching. I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.